morning, everyone. It's so nice to be here and so nice to see so many friendly faces in the audience. Greg and I arrived here a year ago, and it just seems like in the last few months it's just exploded, the number of people we know here, and it just means so much to me that so many of you have come. So today I want to share about our work in Project Somos in Guatemala. I'll talk about my journey into photography and storytelling, and I'll share some things that have become very important to me. I'll give you some ideas about capturing your precious life and safeguarding your photos and stories. So my talk today will include photographs, short videos, a tiny bit of science, a few warnings to all of you and me, some advice, and hopefully a dash of inspiration. And I also have some resources that I will happily share with you and send to you if you want to sign up on the sheets that I have at the back. So after working 3 solid years to form a charity, find a piece of land, build a donor base, and develop our vision, my husband Greg Kemp and I packed up all our personal belongings, our Corgi Shepherd Tika, and we drove from Vancouver, Canada, through the US, through Mexico, and went to Guatemala. And on the way, we stopped in Ajijic for our very first visit. So in February 2011, we landed in Guatemala to begin to build the Project Somos Children's Learning Village. It's located in a small community in the Central Highlands of Guatemala, about 12 kilometers from the town of Tecpan, for those that know Guatemala. So we took an empty piece of land, and together with an amazing donor base and our team on the ground, we built a bustling learning village. So we used eco bricks or eco ladrillos, which are empty plastic pop bottles full of soft plastic garbage. We gathered about 40,000 of those over the years, and we also used earth bag or super adobe to build 14 buildings. We run everything off of solar, and we built a large organic farm to feed the children and the staff. Everyone always asks Greg and I why we started this project. Both of us had traveled extensively, and when we came together as a couple, we made a decision that we wanted to leverage our privilege. We don't come from wealth, but we did know how to build community, access information and resources, and we had a really deep desire to make a difference. So after spending 3 years, we officially opened the project in 2014. So we welcome Indigenous Mayan children from the surrounding communities, and every week we have up to 100 kids to receive early childhood education, academic support, to learn English, improve their literacy, and to eat healthy food in our Farm to Belly program. So here's our preschool. And you'll always see the dogs in the front. This is our quinoa field. So in Guatemala, children at home predominantly eat a mono diet of tortillas and beans. And UNICEF states that 46.5% of the children under 5 have chronic malnutrition. So the kids come to the project in the morning, they help harvest the food, disinfect, and help prepare for their lunch and healthy snacks. We had children who would come into our modest little library that has maybe 750 books, and their mouths would drop open because they had never seen so many books in one place. And I remember one little boy at the end of the day, after reading books and stuff, he went into the library and said goodbye to the books. We also provided employment for some of the local women. This was a handicraft business we had where women did needle felted ornaments, Christmas decorations. And one mom, beknownst to me, I went to visit her one day, and she goes, "Look, this is the house I built with the money from the handicraft business." She had never said that to me, and she'd been saving the money away. So it really made a difference, that little bit of employment. So during the pandemic, we had to shut down for 2 years. So we pivoted and found creative ways to keep supporting the families. We had a food bank twice a week, and we gave out up to 23,000 baskets of food. We loaned books to the kids, and we sent our teachers out into the community to help the kids with their homework. Because the mums were going to the school to receive the homework, were told what to do, and these mums were illiterate. So it was a disaster. We also moved a kitchen outdoors, and the families received, the whole family together would receive a private cooking class, and they would prepare the food and then eat the food, and then we'd send them home with the ingredients so they could replicate it. And the kids were so cute because they had been involved in our farm to table program already before the pandemic, and so when their mums came, they were super excited to show them how to prepare a salad, how to make a salad dressing. So since our arrival, over 600 volunteers have come from all over the world. We received many high school students. They would come for a week at a time. We also had singer-songwriters come with their fan base, and they would spend a week at the project. I did a few photography retreats, and then we also had volunteers that would come for months at a time. I'm really proud to say we created a beautiful haven for children, a place that they call their own. At Project Somos, the kids feel safe and happy. It truly is a magical place. Our philosophy always was, the world needs more people to step up. So find your purpose and go do something. I started studying photography 9 years ago to better tell our stories in Guatemala. And then I fell in love with it. To me, it's become like a spiritual practice. I've used it to observe my life and to focus on gratitude. I've done daily photograph projects, 4 different years. I took a photo a year. And last year, when I knew it was our last year at the project, I did a 365 is what we call it, and then printed all my photos as a way of hanging on to what was dear to us at the project. For me, photography is a way to connect with people. It's to truly see and hear them and their stories. As a personal project I took on while I was in Guatemala, I started to go out into the local community and take photos of individuals and families. I created this short video called a digital story, which is something else that I've recently started to do. So a digital story is a process of working one-to-one with someone to capture their story. Then they record their voice, they put their own photos in, we add music, and voila, a 3 to 5 minute film about something meaningful in your life. And it's, this one that I'm going to show is about my personal project. ¿Está bien? No. Te veo. I see you. The power of photography and storytelling. My name is Heather Alicia Knox. I love learning about the people and stories happening around me. I love creating mementos of their lives through still photographs and digital stories. I fell in love with photography while living in Guatemala. I became an avid photography student, studied documentary storytelling, portraiture, and other genres to develop my abilities. In 2022, I got to travel to Missouri, where I participated in the 74th Annual Missouri Photo Workshop. This was a goal and a dream come true for me. I studied with world-class storytelling photographers to develop my skills. My husband Greg and I founded the Project Somos Children's Learning Village and spent 13 years living in Guatemala building and running the project. While documenting our work at the project, I started to go out into the local village to meet and photograph the people. For me, it has been one of the greatest honors of my life. Can you imagine not having a single photo of your mom, your dad, your grandparents? What about having 0 photos of yourself as a child? I cannot even begin to tell you how many people I have met who had little to no photographs of themselves or their families. The few photos some had were very precious and cherished. They were so proud to share them with me when I asked. Located in the Central Highlands, this agricultural village is situated at 7,000 feet and is surrounded by views of 8 volcanoes. It has a population of 1,000. Most of the men maintain a plot of land and most of the women weave using the backstrap method. Homes are single or 2-room shacks, adobe or simple cement block. Many only have dirt floors. Food is prepared on wood fires. Outhouses are the norm. Bathing happens in temazcals or Mayan saunas. When I arrive at a family home, children are sent to find me a chair to sit on. Most of the time it is a simple plastic stool. It is often broken. Adults and children gather around, and usually there aren't enough chairs for everyone. I always sit and listen to their stories before pulling out my camera. I hear stories of loss and suffering. I hear about women enduring years of domestic violence. I have learned about the abuse of alcohol and about men that have traveled north in hopes of earning to send money back. This has left children to grow up without fathers present and women without husbands. I remember one mama telling me that her first baby died because she didn't know how to properly feed it. One older woman remained single to care for her father. She was completely lost when he passed away. Thankfully, I was able to make photos of him just weeks before he died, and for her, this was so important to have. One mama had adopted an infant when the birth mother passed away during childbirth. Sadly, the girl was orphaned for a second time when her adoptive mom died when she was only 10 years old. I made photos of this girl and her adoptive mom before she died, and she has hung on to these cherished photos. In a number of cases, my photos were printed and put on the coffins of deceased people during memorials, including one 11-year-old boy who had been attending the project, and at least once my photo was buried with the body. I always return to each household with the printed photos I've made. The joy and delight when I give them their photographs is incredible. There are always big smiles and so many delighted giggles. Maybe I can't fix their suffering as much as I'd like to, which of course is my ultimate goal, but I do hope that through my photographs, they always feel seen and loved, and hopefully it lifts them up even just a little. For me, this experience has been transformative. It is a reminder not to take things for granted. It is a reminder to make photos and to cherish them. This experience shapes who I am. It has made me the storyteller and photographer I am today. I watch as the stories and photos I share touch others. I watch how stories inspire people to care and to donate to those in need. Stories reach into people's hearts. Everyone has a story, and everyone deserves to be seen and heard. Te veo, I see you. So after 13 years of working and living on site at the project, our intention had always been to step away and pass the project on to our amazing team. So in 2023, that time came. So a year and 2 weeks ago, Greg and I once again packed up all our belongings, this time with 3 dogs, and we came here to Ahihik. Just as a side, we also rescued about 30 different dogs and found homes for them, just because we didn't have enough on our plate. So we now have a 15-year-old, a 5-year-old, and a 3-year-old that are with us, and they're all rescues from Guatemala. So after we left the project, Greg stayed on the board of directors, and we consulted weekly with the project up until just a few months ago. We have a new country director and a capable board of directors, and we have handed over the reins to them, and we sit on the advisory board, and we plan on going back to the project and visit whenever we can. So being here has been a really big adjustment for us. I know some of you know the story. We've definitely been going through a period of grieving and letting go of this amazing life that we created in Guatemala. And it's also been a big wake-up call for us, realizing we're in a very different chapter of our lives now. In the last number of years, we've endured a lot of loss. We've lost many dear friends, family, and precious dogs over the years. Anyone here can relate to this? I thought so. So for me, this has been a time of reflecting and looking at my priorities. It's about looking at what is important. Family, friends, and relationships. Oh, no, not yet. The importance of our stories has become a real priority for me. Our oral stories, the ones we've written down, and of course our photographs and the rich stories they tell. When I got here, I missed being at the project. I missed photographing the daily happenings. I missed photographing the families in the community. And I put my camera down. So after putting my camera down, and as part of my healing, I decided to start another personal project here. And I have started to photograph Mexican creatives, and I see my first one at the back. It is a way to meet others, to make connections, and to use my creativity to showcase Mexican artists. So I started with the lovely Rosia Vera, who's back here, and you may have seen some of the photos that I put up on Facebook and the Friendly Gringo group, and I will share others. Another thing that I got involved with is I started teaching photography here at LCS on Saturday mornings. So every Saturday you can find Anita and Ken and Michael and I with cameras and children. And so that's been a really meaningful and fun thing for me to jump into here. When I started taking photographs, making photographs of the people in the village, I realized how much we take our photographs for granted and how we need to be more intentional about safeguarding, printing, and backing up our photos. It has also made me value how much we need to make that intention of precious photos in our life. You saw my digital story about my personal project. This is Blanca. I did a digital story with Blanca. I sat down with her, I asked her a question about her life, and she spoke for 2.5 hours straight, which then we culled down to a beautiful 7-minute story about the loss and suffering she had endured in her short life. And at the end she said to me, "No one has ever asked me about my life, and no one has ever listened." And that was very impactful for me. In her story, she talked about the death of her father. She watched from under a door as he died and saw her and was reaching for her. She talked about the passing of one of her 4 babies. And she talked about the tragic death of her older brother who had taken on the father role when her dad died. And she said to me she had no photographs of any of them. Together we remembered that her brother had worked at the project years before when we first arrived. So I pulled out all my old hard drives and I dug through and I found 14 photos of her brother Luis. And I delivered them to her. And some of them included my precious father, who had recently passed away and had spent many, many months at the project as our most active volunteer. So now she has those 14 photos of her brother, but sadly she still doesn't have photos of her father or her baby. So, now down to business. All of us here are at risk. Believe it or not, you and I are at risk of losing our photos, just like Blanca had no photos to pass on. So I recently had a major wake-up call. 20 years ago, my daughter and I went to India, and we volunteered and traveled for 6 months. And I had this big honking hard drive full of photos. I had one of the first digital cameras. And I waited and waited. The cable got obsolete, and then I took it to someone, we backed it up, and they sent me home with a new hard drive, and it was somebody else's. And I raced back, and he plugged it in, and he goes, "It's going, it's going, it's gone." He watched my hard drive die, so I lost all those photos from India. So just so you know, every digital storage device will fail one day. So don't assume that your CDs, your DVDs, your thumb drives are safe. we have a star example here. My friend Hunter has 3 backups. And this is actually what they say is the ideal, the best practice. So 2 external drives, 1 in one place, 1 in another, and then the cloud. I also believe in picking your favorite photos and printing them out. And then there's the discussion we had about what do you do with the albums? Well, I think you got to hang on to the albums because they have the imprint of us humans on them. But you also got to scan them so that they're digital. And it's a lot. I know it's a lot. It's overwhelming. But and you may think, oh, at this point, no one really cares about these photos. You know, I'm done or whatever. But trust me, your kids and your grandkids and your great-grandkids will be grateful that you put some effort into it. So anything, of course, is like a flood or a fire. We all are at risk of losing these legacies to pass on. So it's time for us to think about a plan. I have so many ideas. Of course, photo books, scrapbooking, print and hang them. And don't throw out old frames, just fill them with something. Wall art, look at Pinterest for ideas about hanging. A family zine, like a magazine, a video slideshow, buy a digital frame and have your best photos on display. Or hook up your phone to your new big screen TV and you can watch your photos. My friend Joyce and I talked about that. You can narrate your stories with photographs or video yourself looking at a photo album and talking about the photos so that you can pass that on to your family. What about all those selfies we take? What I did as a present to Greg is I printed them out, put them in a frame and hanging them. They're not on display for everyone, but it's nice to have those selfies that gather on our telephones. So don't, onto the positive side of it is, I don't want to discourage you from stopping taking photos. Now I'm going to encourage you to take more photos, but to be more intentional now. I've created a photographic prompt list that I can send you via email for things that you can intentionally make photos of. So here are some of the things that I've listed. So daily routines. These are really key and the ones that we often overlook. The details in our life that we think we're never, ever going to forget. The gatherings you have with friends, not just the birthday parties and the other holidays. And then, of course, all the magic that surrounds us here. Treat it kind of like a treasure hunt and go looking for it. This was something, I put out I told my friends on Facebook, and I asked what everyday moments they wish they had a photo of now that a loved one has passed away. And as I read the responses, I was like crying. So hands were a big one. They said, I wish I had a photo of their hands. Sorry. I'm just going to read out. These are directly from the post. Sitting outside the house with my grandma drinking a brandy and smoking a cig. My grandma's grilled cheese sandwich and playing gin rummy with her. Learning to sew and make ravioli with my grandmother. My mother in the kitchen making pies. Staying at Grandma and Grandpa's house, pretending to be asleep on the sleeper sofa so I could listen to them, have breakfast together when Grandpa came in from morning chores. Do you know who that is? Yeah. Sitting with my mother on the sandy tree-lined beach in the summer. When I was small, my dad used to dance with me around the living room with my feet on his feet. I'd love to have a photo of that. Sitting in my car eating ice cream cones with my grandma in the park. My husband opening the car door for me. My husband holding my hand at church. So when I was a kid, I would go stay over at my grandma's house, and she had 2 single beds in her bedroom. And on one wall was all these types of photos up on the wall about our family. And my grandma would go to bed quite early, and in the summer in Vancouver, it's light till 10 p.m. And I'd lie there listening to her snore, and I couldn't fall asleep, and I'd look at the photos. And then in the morning, I would ask her to tell me about the photos, and it gave me a sense of who she was and who I am in the scheme of things. Anybody here have grandkids? Okay, a few. Do your grandkids come to visit? Who has grandkids coming to visit? Okay, so here's the big question. Do you have photos of them hanging on your wall?
Yes.
Do you have photo books of them on the coffee table? Here's the science bit. So there's science behind this. The emotional benefits of kids seeing themselves in family photos. It increases their sense of belonging. It boosts their self-esteem and self-worth. It reinforces family identity. It provides emotional security, and it validates personal significance. The developmental impacts. It helps children understand family history. It builds a sense of continuity. It supports healthy attachment. It demonstrates family love and connection, and it creates a narrative of understanding of personal story. So the psychological research insights. Photographs affirm a child's place in the family system. The visual memories strengthen family bonds. It helps children process family dynamics. It provides a sense of stability, and it supports positive self-image development. Who here has seen the movie Coco? Yeah. And who watches it every year on Day of the Dead? Yeah, okay, that's what we do too. So Coco is a really beautiful reminder to all of us about the value of family photographs. This is what our friend, our altar looked like this year. Sadly, the number of photos increases. But for us, it's a really important reminder to think about those people that have passed on. We also have a wall with all photos of our family and friends. Nothing fancy, but it's in there so that we can consciously look at it and love those people that are dear to us. So one of the things that I love doing is called a Day in the Life family photography session. So this is a session all about capturing the magic of the ordinary. It's one simple magical ordinary day, candid day in your life. It can show you how special your life is. So this is a very short video about what a day in the life session is, and it's something I'm excited to offer a handful of, if anybody's interested in here. And what I think it does is it really shows that your life is anything but ordinary, and shows how beautiful our relationships and connections are. Alex, please look at a video for this. Connection is why we are here. It's what gives purpose and meaning in our lives. Brene Brown. This isn't your typical photography session. Forget matching outfits, forget pose perfection. A day in the life family photography session is about capturing real magic, the ordinary moments that tell your unique story. I'll be your silent storyteller, a fly on the wall documenting the authentic connections that make your family extraordinary. Unscripted, unfiltered, unforgettable. Your story, your day, your memories preserved forever. These are the moments we too easily forget. The quiet details, the simple connections. From morning coffee to bedtime stories, breakfast prep to backyard play, swimming, baking, reading, living. The genuine, the raw, the beautiful ordinary. Precious moments, unnoticed until now. When it's done, you will have a collection of photos that capture genuine, unposed moments that tell your family's true story. So with our arrival in this new chapter of our life, it's become really important to me to support others to preserve their stories and to find meaningful ways to remember loved ones that have passed, as well as offering end-of-life photography and end-of-life pet photography to people. I'm also doing legacy messaging. I wanted to show you a few photos. So I'm going to end with a digital story that my dear friends Larry Greenberg and Carol Kinchy recently collaborated with me on. Larry shares a message important to him to leave for his loved ones. I want to thank them for their amazing support and friendship over the years. They are the reason we're here in Ahihi. And I also want to acknowledge, to thank them, I also want to acknowledge my amazing husband, Greg Kemp, for his ongoing encouragement and support around my photography and storytelling. And two dear friends, my dear friend Kim, who's come here this week to be with us, and my dear friend Melissa in Chicago, who can't be here, but she put together this beautiful brochure for about my work. So this is Larry's story. Listo para otro video?
I wake every morning with gratitude and surprise that I have another day ahead of me, and am curious about what awaits me. It is even richer and more meaningful as I am increasingly aware that I am approaching the last chapter of my full life. As the son of a Jewish immigrant who escaped Russia to the United States over 100 years ago, my parents instilled in me the importance of standing up to oppression and always working hard to gain knowledge. The adage was that although property can be taken away from you, as it was from my ancestors in the Russian pogroms, knowledge cannot be stolen. Thus, learning and teaching became fundamental in my life's work. As I find my own memories starting to fade and blur, I think of the legacy that my parents gave me to work hard and gain knowledge that I want to pass on to my sons and grandchildren and those who are yet to come, in whatever form their lives and passions unfold. During early Hebrew school education, a rabbi asked, "What is the first line of Genesis in the Torah?" Someone responded, "In the beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." The rabbi explained that that was a mistranslation of the original Aramaic. The correct translation is, "In a beginning, God created the heavens and the earth." The rabbi then spent the entire class in discussions with us about possible meanings. Is there more than one interpretation? Is there more than one creation? Are there multiple understandings? At the end of the class, a student asked, "What is the correct answer, Rabbi?" To which the rabbi smiled and said, "Next class, we will read the second line of Genesis." I now look back and realize how that one lesson has informed and guided my life. There are always more explanations and possibilities to explore. The medical students I had the honor to mentor were always challenged by me to come up with alternative possibilities as they looked to diagnose someone's ailments. I challenged myself as I stepped off the obvious path laid out by my very good first marriage, based primarily in city life and intellectual pursuits, to explore my inner world and deepening self-exploration in my second marriage during the second half of my life, which now includes nature and reflecting on self-love. What a wonderful ride it has been thus far. From a grocery bagger in St. Paul, Minnesota, to being in school in some form for 40 plus years, to being father of 2 incredible men, to traveling the world with curiosity, to living half-time in Mexico for 2 decades, and to living on an off-grid organic farm in central Mexico during a global pandemic. When I lament about the perilous times that we seem to face as humanity, I am comforted by knowing that there can always be new possibilities, an expanding knowing of oneself, and a new creation. Just remember, in a beginning.
Wanted to show that I've got a book about our time in Guatemala I can leave on the table to look at, and if you feel inspired, January 1st is coming up and you could start a 365 project to capture your cherished life and then put it into a book. Any questions? Comments? Oh, there has to be a mic, right? And then I'm going to repeat.
Well, first of all, thank you very much. That was great. Can I just ask, it's the first time we've used a big screen here. Did it work? Yeah? Everyone liked it? Yeah. Because Greg said, Greg's in charge of Open Circle, he said he would buy one out of his own money. Yeah? Because we've only borrowed this for today. But okay, all right, well that's good to know. Now, if you have a question, please, we only have the 2 mics. Yeah, we're going to get a 300-inch screen, but we only have 2 mics. Yeah, raise your hand and wait for the mic to come. You may think you can be heard, but it's rarely the case, so just bear with me. Oh, God. All right. Okay.
I have a comment just to show to personal experience how pictures are so important. In Phoenix, Arizona, I met a guy, very wealthy guy, and we started dating. I went to his house several times. It was very modern cultures and all of that, but I never saw a picture of a person. And I thought, what kind of human relations he has?
Interesting. Wow. Thanks for sharing that. Two there.
Why do you call it the 365 project? I guess that refers to every day of the year.
Daily project, yeah.
Can you
daily photo
elaborate
project.
on that just a little bit?
So every day I make a photo with intention, something to capture my day. It's also a discipline that a lot of photographers use to, because they say the best way to improve is to make photos. And so we all of us now always have a camera with us. And so when you intentionally shoot your day, and if you do it with that list that I'm talking about, you're gonna intentionally make sure you capture those details, those times with friends, and then when you put it all together and you look back on the year, I don't even know how to properly describe it. It's like it's just such a gift. And when I was doing that last one, it was very much intentionally around gratitude for everything we had after living in Guatemala for 13 years. But I have done it 3 other years as well. And sometimes I'm like, oh, these photos aren't that great. But when they're all together, it's a real gift to ourselves, for lack of a better way to describe it. Yeah. So.
Okay, I have another question. Would you like to start?
That was fantastic. I take pictures all the time, and I also have kept diaries over the years in different places I've lived.
Yeah.
And for years I said to my daughter, someday I'm going to write a memoir. And she got tired of hearing it. And for a gift 2 years ago, she gave me this thing called storyworth.com.
Yeah.
And she picked out 52 questions, one for each week, that I had to answer.
Yeah.
And when I got the questions, they were all mixed up. It was like, what was your childhood like? What was your marriage like? What was your grandmother? But I could see all 52 questions, and I put them in order, and that's how I started my story.
Good for
And
you.
I'm adding all of the pictures.
photos.
Yes, but
Way to go.
it's a wonderful, wonderful way to get you started on this kind of project.
So this girlfriend I talked about, Melissa, she just did that with her 96-year-old grandfather. So she sent him a photo a week. A question a week. He answered them. She gathered the photos and she created a book with that same company and just delivered it to him.
Yes, at the end of the year, they print the book.
Yeah, at the end of the year, they print the books. Yeah, story work is really good. The other thing that I do, and I didn't even mention it, is I do guided autobiography work. It's a new one for me, and it's a 6-week class where every week you do prompts, and it's done in a small group, and everybody shares with each other. It's such a powerful experience. So I recently did it, and it was just amazing to work together and tell the stories. And it's not done linear, which I think a lot of people get overwhelmed with. And it's focused on key points in our life, whether it's, somebody who means a lot to us. They do one called branching points. So it's like you look at your life and those points that take us in different directions, a marriage, a divorce, going to university. So there's a whole bunch of prompts, and then it just gets you into the mode, and you only do 2 pages at a time. Oh.
Thank you, Alicia. I don't know how many people here know that Lake Chapala Society, in addition to this campus, operates a library, a Spanish library, over 5,000 books, just a couple blocks from here. And the library has kind of fallen into a mode of engaging teenagers, mostly at the age of 15. I wonder if you could talk a little bit about, from your experience, the importance of working with younger children, especially when it comes to the literacy and learning a foreign language.
Well, doing photography with kids?
No,
or
just
storytelling?
educating children.
Yeah, so for me, education is very near and dear to my heart, and I'm not very traditional in my education. I homeschooled my daughter all through because I really believed in her maintaining her passion for learning. And just to calm you, she's just finishing her master's degree. She's like the most amazing student. And a lot of people think, oh, homeschoolers, they're the flaky guy, but she was very focused. So I believe in education, but I also believe kids need to have a creative outlet. And that's really missing. And rote learning is just not the way. And we're having a lot of fun with the students that we teach here. So we have 10 kids, Mexican kids, in our program right now, the photography one. And actually, we decided to focus on storytelling with them. And we're very excited. I can say this out loud, Jill? So Jill Fessenden has offered us the photo frames in the plaza. And so the group we're working with right now, each of them is going to come up with a 6-photo story and a statement about what they're photographing. There's one you're going to be excited about. There's one boy, his grandfather's a fisherman. He's going to be taking photos of him doing the fishing. And then, of course, they're doing one about their cat. And so I think if we can get interestingly now with cell phones, kids do have cameras in their hands, and they're naturally more creative. And we did, when the summer camp was going on, we did a class that was cell phones, but we also do DSLRs as we move along. I think Jennifer had a question.
Just thank you. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Thank you so much for your presentation. I think it's one of the most beautifully produced, and the most moving. I sat here crying through the whole thing. You two are a gift to the planet, and we thank you. And I just wanted to tell you that. But I do have a question.
Well, I just want to say thank you to Jennifer and Hunter, who have been so inclusive and welcoming to Greg and I, and we're just grateful to have them
We'll
in our
never
lives.
let you leave this town, that's for sure. My question is this, all through the time we were first married, and it's been 56 years now, and the time our children were little, I was really particular about about keeping wonderful books of photographs, and I would write underneath what we did, and they're all arty-farty and, really fun. And there are stacks of them.
I know.
And now I have them all zipped up inside of old, the cases that new blankets come in.
Yeah, yeah.
And we tried to give them to the children, and they don't, they're at a stage in their life where they don't want them. I will take your suggestion and have them digitized. I should have done that years ago. But my question is, do you have any thoughts about how we can take care of, or should we even bother to try to take care of the physical copies?
I do believe in taking care of the physical copies, and it is a concern, and you guys told me that as well, right? That people are trying to minimize, they're living maybe in smaller spaces. It is a dilemma for me, for sure, but hopefully you can hone in on a grandchild maybe that might be interested, or because I just think it's such a loss. My dad became very interested in family genealogy, and he had 40 days from his diagnosis to his passing, and I asked him to bring it all out, and he brought it out and showed me stuff, and it is overwhelming. But I guess I just trust that there'll be one person that cares, one who will take it on. But it does take work to cull, and you just have to pick those best ones. And I think if you can digitalize those albums, and then if they do chuck them, they have something. And you guys shipped yours to India, right? To have it all digitalized, yeah.
Yeah. And what we did is after we got them in CDs, then that became obsolete, and Michael we put them on flash drive, and every birthday and Christmas, we give our sons a flash drive.
So they're saying they digitalized theirs, and they're having to keep track of what new technology, because you do have to stay on top of it, because everything will go obsolete. Yeah, there's
We have a couple more questions here. I just have a question about video.
Yeah, video is another one as well. My daughter, bless her, she took all that, what's it called, 8mm? What was it? And she had it digitalized, and then she made a nice overview. Because you are going to have to do that with video and everything. And so we have it on a thumb drive and on YouTube on a private channel. But that's another whole level, and it's a lot of work.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, in my research to prepare for this, I discovered there are people now, they're called photo managers, and they support people to deal with all this stuff. Yeah.
So that's my next question.
Yeah.
Like, how confident do you feel YouTube will be around in 10 years?
I don't.
Yeah, and then what do you do with all your photos? I mean, I take tons of photos of my kids and family and videos, so I upload it to YouTube.
Yeah.
Or I make a digital thing like you did, but I'm kind of getting concerned at what platform to put
I know,
them on.
we're all at risk of everything crashing, and I think, so always kind of keep that in mind, that 2 or 3 copies of everything is ideal. So if you have it on YouTube, and if you have another cloud platform, and then something on a hard drive. But then you have to make sure that you pass on that access to people, and that they remember it's there. I guess it's like when you prepare your password list, you also prepare, don't forget we have family videos on this channel.
Yeah, that's a good point.
Thank you. This isn't about storing as much as my own personal enjoyment. I have put a lot of photos onto Google, and I have a Google Home device that is in my kitchen that shows me photos.
Yeah.
And every day I get to see them. I see family from 40 years ago. I see the last trip I just took, and they're not hidden. They're in my kitchen all day.
Yeah, and that's why I was saying those digital frames, those screens you can hook up. And you know, the studies now say that if we live a life focused on gratitude, we will live longer. And so I think when we see those photos and not hide them away, we can be grateful for those people that mean so much to us, or did mean so much to us. So good for you. You are our shining example.
We have time for one more question?
Hi, I'm okay with that. My
Please.
and I overlap a little Polenta shop.
Oh, yeah.
Hear you.
They can't hear at the back.
Yes, the
I was saying that Alicia and I and your husband overlapped in the Polenta shop.
Maracuya.
We go, right,
Yeah.
talking passion fruit poletas. My name's Len. I live here in Ajijic as well. I'm a filmmaker as well. And my business is called Loving Legacy Video.
Oh, really?
So primarily, I just want to say thank you for the beautiful presentation. I agree with everything you've said. And I also do this work of working with people with video as the tool, beginning with what people know about their ancestry and their generations that came before them, about their journey, whether from the original countries they came from, most of them, what prompted that, etc., and taking people on a more chronological journey through their life, but then as well asking questions about choices that people wish they'd made differently, recurring dreams they have, forgiveness they'd like to offer or ask for, and I'm starting to do that work down here. I travel around the US. If anybody would like to hear more about it, I'd be happy to tell you about it. I also put some cards up on the bulletin board and I brought some with me. Alicia, thank you. I agree with everything you said, and I'd be happy to talk to anybody about that service, and I'm offering a discount for folks here in town as well, so please.
Nice to meet you, Len. Yeah, we'll have to geek out on this someday.
Thank you for doing the presentation. I did want to say that the two of the taglines I used, one is your kids don't want your stuff, they want your stories, and also stories that matter from the people you love. So
Oh, nice.
very much in tune with everything you've been.
That's nice.
Thank you.
Well, thank you for coming today.
All right, well, that's it, folks. All the time we have for today. Alicia, thank you so much. Excellent presentation.